Can't hear you. Yeah, I can see your mouth moving. Cannot hear any words coming out of them. Right now, can't hear you. I cannot hear you. I'm not kidding when I say this. It's not like I'm like messing with you. I feel like now you're insulting me because I can't read lips, so I don't know what you're saying. But I know for fact that I still can't hear you. So okay. Just learned how to read lips. You say, I can't wait to take my penis out and put it on top of the desk, jiggle it around a little bit. And I just advise, please don't do that until after the podcast recording is done. That's the nicest time to do it, is when we're recording podcasts. How many times have you taken your penis out and put it on the desk while we're recording podcasts? I'm going to make this a bonus or an opening, and nobody's going to understand what's going on whatsoever. I really can't hear you. Do you okay, I got that. I know. All right. I'm going to need you to fix this and put your balls back in your pants. Penis and balls. Your beard looks nice. I'm going to say that. I mean, you're not even lighting up, so something is not registering. Just keep talking. Like I can hear what you're saying. What if we recorded the whole podcast like this? Just me inferring what you're saying from nothingness, and people would be like, "What the fuck is going? Like, are we supposed to be able to hear him?" I'm really going to need you to fix this, because now it's starting to trigger me. Neil, fix your fucking shit. I know you can do it. You went to school for this. Neil, please fix your shit. What if I did this? Say something.
Something?
Oh, wow, it was me.
Wow. What a fucking asshole.
Yeah, I know. Definitely a fucking asshole on that one.
You know what, though? I hope somehow, some way, I really hope that all recorded. I hope, because it was perfection. I don't know how, like...
It all recorded, I just couldn't hear you.
It was all being recorded. Oh, great. So
well, I can't... I didn't record anything you said, because it was not coming through in the way that I could hear you. Like, if I can hear you, it's recording. If I can't hear you, it's not recording. Like, that's
unfortunate.
Yeah, there's no way to do it.
Everything lined up perfectly. You were like 85% of what I was saying. You were getting 85% of what I was saying. You were getting.
That's priceless.
That's what made all of that.
That's priceless. That's priceless.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good. It's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zach Wright with Old Man Gaming. You, dear listener, for whatever reason, have decided to tune into another Horrible Gaming Podcast. I am not alone. Usually I am never alone. With me is...
Neil, a.k.a. Tiny Wizard.
Guys, gals, we didn't have news last time, but we got news this time because, gamescom done dropped in a lap, and it is huge.
Gamescom.
A gamescom.
Gamescom.
I'm pretty sure me and Neil completely disagree about the show, which I know everybody out there who likes it when we argue is going to be excited about that. I am going to say I've got a real fucking old school rant, cock-locked and in the chamber, ready to go. And yeah, so it's going to be interesting. But before we get into that interestingness, we have to go ahead and thank the people who have made this possible. Behind our ugly mugs, you see a custom graphic that was designed by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. And then the theme song for this show and all of the shows here at Old Man Gaming is provided by the man who makes the music, my brother Nick Van Sliders. We thank him for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with Interaction.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our first segment, our most important segment, that is Fan Interaction. That's where we, the co-hosts, we talk to you guys, the fans. We read out your comments anywhere we find them and remember to thus read them out. I do want to point out, William Hoolan has been on vacation, and I'm pretty sure that's why he is not commenting, because he is not listening to the shows until he gets back. I'm pretty sure. Because he did that before. He did that last year. So, no William Hoolan post, just a shit ton of posts from Jason. Jason, we see you, buddy. We're going to read them out. Here we go. Starting with this one. We're no strangers to this cove. You know the pirate code, and so do I. A pile of treasures, what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other pirate. Never gonna break you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna sail around and maroon you, never gonna steal your eye, never gonna not say I, never gonna sell your booty for a doubloon. Hope I did that justice, Jason. Hope I did that justice. That's it. That's all there is on that one.
Okay.
Moving on. Drive-by Horrible Gaming Podcast. Yeah, that was about it. We had a quick one last week. Nice quick one. Not gonna have a quick one this week. I fear this one will make up for last week's shortnesses in spades. Jason then continued. Rockstar murdered RDO, Red Dead Online. Damn right they did, and they should pay for it. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know if I'm ever going to buy another Rockstar games because of it. I don't trust them. They lost my trust. And we talk about it. It's a big thing on this channel, is having trust. If you're making a game, a service game, you need to have trust with your players. And I have lost all for Rockstar. So I don't know that I will ever try another Rockstar game. I mean, I'm just one player. I am sure they will have huge hits and it won't affect them. But they've definitely lost me.
Yeah, Rockstar games really, never super appealed to me personally. It's so weird to kind of be on the outside looking in on some of those things. Like, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be like the biggest launch whenever it does inevitably finally come out. But like, it's going to have all like capital G gamers like up in arms. And they're going to be all about it, rushing out to buy it. Everybody's going to be playing it. Everybody's going to be talking about it. And honestly, I just kind of like, oh, cool. Like,
yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, it's about it. And then Jason decides to get truly aggressive with us. Can't stand Undertale. I don't get it. Well, then it's not for you. Don't know what else to say there, Jason. Don't know what else to say. Then he continues, Skyrim is an overrated pile of steaming apple pies. You are wrong. You are objectively wrong, sir. It will go down in history as one of the greatest games ever made. I'm sorry about your luck. This isn't me. This is the world saying it. I'm sorry, man. It just is. If you don't like it, that's fine, but it is not a bad game. He then continues, Fallout 4 is far more appealing than Skyrim. Now, I want to say this. I disagree on every conceivable fucking level, but objectively, that's what we were doing last week. We were doing objectively what we believe will be recognized by not just us, by gaming communities at large as classics. Fallout 4 is already not recognized as a classic. So, and Skyrim is. Like, it's not about whether it's appealing or not. We were picking games that were going to be recognized. That being said, Fallout 4 is a steaming pile of apple pies compared to Skyrim. And that's just the way it is. Like, you can post all the comments you want. That's the truth.
I do want to say steaming pile of apple pies.
It doesn't sound so bad.
Sound like a bad thing. No, does not sound like a terrible thing at all. It sounds fantastic. That said, while I do 100% feel like Skyrim is going to be one of those like gaming greats that's going to go down historically as one of the best games ever made. Bird's eye view, completely objectively, looking at features and everything else associated with it, I can see where he's coming from. Because, at the end of the day, it's technically just another open world game. Now, I would say it's an absolutely fantastically done open world game. I love that game. I mean, it gives you the ability to not even play the game if you want to do that, which is how I've always enjoyed playing that game, is just ignoring literally everything and just going and finding and doing.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely see where he's coming from on it.
I mean, it's fine. Like, it's not, I'm not here to insult somebody's personal choice. Like if somebody likes a game more than Skyrim, I know there are plenty of people who listen to this who like plenty of games more than Skyrim. But, like, we were trying to pick games that, like, will be recognized by the collective zeitgeist, you know? And I don't know that's Fallout 4. In 10 years, people are still going to talk about Skyrim. I don't think they're going to talk about Fallout 4, you know?
Oh, so, yeah, absolutely.
So, like, that's kind of where it is. Continuing, he then said Ubisoft made a Quad A game. CDPR is making some 5A games. Parentheses. The second one is just a joke, though. Mocking the first one, but it's still ridiculous thing. I think, the whole Quad A, like it's stupid, right? Like,
yes.
Like, AAA moves on with the technology. Personally, back when Xbox said this back in the day, I thought it was kind of stupid. At least, I mean, I remember thinking it was kind of stupid. I am sure there are podcast recordings. Maybe I said this was a good idea. But personally, I kind of remember, like, even when they announced their, like, initiative and the Quad A stuff, I was like, I don't, like, if, like, AAA means the best. So, like, the best is whatever the best is when it moves on. Like, the world's best gets bigger, so AAA gets bigger. It's not necessary. I never thought, like, we've moved beyond. We need more A's in this. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck does that even mean? So like,
every extra A costs $10 more.
Well, and that might be possible. That might be where they're going with that, which is fucking stupid. I mean, at this point, I hate the whole idea of pricing schemes, of like set pricing anyway. I think, and if you really look at it from like an all collective games kind of thing, there isn't a set mold for game pricing anyway. Some games come out at 40, some games come out at 50, some games come out at 70, some games come out at fucking 5. So, like, I think that, like, whoever you are, price the game what you think you can get out of it. But just beware that if you price it too high, you're not going to get the money out of it. You know what I mean? Like that's what it just comes down to. And I think one of the things is they're already pricing games too high and then jamming a bunch of microtransactions. Maybe all the extra A's mean extra microtransactions, extra loot boxes.
Yeah, in regard to all of that sort of stuff there, I mean, the pricing structure has not been necessarily great. I mean, nobody knows who's to say what, a quadruple A is? I mean,
right.
It was self-imposed, they just like, it wasn't like, it's not like the gamers are saying, hey, that's a quadruple A. It's the company saying, well, no, this is quadruple A.
Right.
We're the ones who are deciding. It runs by MILF rules. You can't basically.
I do also like the fact that the one Quad A game that we've seen in actual practice supposedly is that Perfect Dark game, and that looked a lot like just another Cyberpunk. So what is Quad A in anyway?
Exactly.
All right, so continuing, Jason says, BG3 has floppy peen, so it is the bestest. It's actually hilarious to see anyone reacting as if it's totally normal for 3 dudes and a devil woman running about with everything on display. Especially some of the camera angles in cutscenes. Where does it have floppy peen? in BG3? Did I miss the peen?
I mean, I think you can just run around. Yeah, I think you can just run around.
Oh, can you just run around with your penis out?
I'm assuming
okay.
you can run around with nothing actually on.
I didn't know that. That's possible. That's possible.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about some Borderlands today. So, oh no, wait, BG. For some reason I read that as Borderlands. I have no fucking idea why. Holy shit. Yeah, BG3. There's tons of floppy peen in BG3. Why the fuck did I read that as Borderlands? Sorry, totally misunderstood that post.
Actually,
totally misunderstood. Yeah, even the camera angles. Yeah, they definitely were like, "We're gonna get some dick in there." Definitely. And then finally he says, "Forgive me, for I have found people to play Sea of Thieves with regularly, and we totally didn't stay up late and totally didn't push a rowboat into a tavern." Listen, man, I love it when I find people to play with. It is a rare thing. It's way more rare than you think it is. So when you find somebody to play that game that you really enjoy playing, it's the bestest. It's absolutely the bestest. For a very small period of time, I had somebody playing For Honor with me. You know who you are if you're still listening to this show. And he doesn't anymore. And I never hold that against people when they kind of move on from a game. But, like, it's just, I don't know, it's nice when you have somebody to actually play those games, especially if you're playing, like, an online game. It's so much nicer when you just have somebody to play it with, you know? Mm-hmm. Jason, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was actually about to say it's actually part of the reason why I really don't go on to Halo Online anymore, because everybody whom I played with either no longer plays or does not like to play online. So it's one of those things to where I'll be at work sometimes thinking like, oh man, you know what? I'm going to jump on like Reach multiplayer, Halo 4 multiplayer, something like that online. It's been so long. Uh-huh. And then I'll sit down at the computer with the full intent on doing that. And it's like, it's just going to be me. So
yeah. It's like, do I really want to play this online thing? Basically lose like 2 hours, you know, which is fine. It'll be fun. But like, or I could play Skyrim for the 97th time in the Bard College thing. I could play Shadows of Doubt, which I actually got. You guys could see the review up on my channel. Or something else new, you know, like with like more like meat on it. It's tough. It's real tough. I do want to say that is it for the comments, Jason. We always appreciate the comments, whether I don't always agree with them. So thank you, sir. As for that, we now get into Gamescom, and I don't think our opinions are actually going to differ once we start talking about it. I think I know what Neil doesn't like about it, and we're going to get into Gamescom.
This will be interesting. I'm curious.
Well, we have spent a lot of time together now on this show and in our lives, and we
can make some assumptions.
I predict some things about you, sir, and I think I have some ideas, but we'll get into that in a second. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with our Talking Point Gamescom.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, that brings us to our Talking Point. Gamescom has happened over the last course of the
Games have calmed.
Games have calmed. What is Gamescom? If you don't know, Gamescom is a European game show. It's basically Europe's E3 and has been for many years, but it's much more fan-facing than E3 used to be, and now that it's gone at all, where people get to just go in. It's always a very big moment for that. So it happened. We had opening night, which even I will admit was a little bit of a shit show. But we had a week of just announcements after announcements, and I don't know how we want to do this, because Neil really says he didn't like Gamescom this year, and I don't understand why he didn't. So we can do this one of two ways. Either I can predict why I think you didn't like Gamescom, or I can just say what I liked about it and then let you go into why you hated it. Or we can let you go into why you hated it, and then I can try and fight with you. I don't know how you want to do this.
So you should tell me what you liked, and then guess what my disdain was.
All right, I'll do number two. All right, so first, what I liked about it. All right, I'm going to say this up front, disclaimer, and this is how I treat these shows, especially shows where Jeff Keighley is involved. I do not watch the presentation, okay? That is not what I do. Here's what I do. All day long, I watch IGN and I watch YouTube. And as the stuff comes out, I watch the stuff that comes out, okay? Because that's the important stuff. That's the important stuff. Disclaimer, right off the bat, I did not watch opening night. I do not want to listen to Jeff Keighley pontificate about whatever Jeff Keighley wants to pontificate about. So, I just watched the trailers as they were coming out. That being said, okay, I think this has been one of the best shows we have had in probably the last 3 years. Let me make the case for why. Because almost all of the games, there were definitely a couple exceptions to this rule, and we're probably going to talk about them, but almost every game that got announced or shown got gameplay. If you go on IGN right now, there's 14 minutes of Towerborn, there's 23 minutes of World of Warcraft, there's 53 minutes of Ava, there's 28 minutes of Civ 7, like every Atomfall, 28 minutes of Atomfall, every game that was shown here got gameplay. And what even better is, I would say 90% of the trailers, the just trailers, showed gameplay in the trailers. That's what I want. I want gameplay. I want to know how the game plays. I want to see how the game plays. I want to see if it's something I like. The other thing I like about the gamescom is what I liked about E3 when it wasn't online, and what I don't like about Summer Games Fest, and that is these kind of shows are a check and balance for consumers. Like, we are in a landscape for gaming where like everything is pre-bought, whether you're paying for it via subscription, monthly subscription, or you're paying for it via pre-order. Like, everything is like pre-purchased, and you have to go take on faith the company's word, the creator, the dev's word for it. With that being said, like, these kind of shows are a check and balance for us. Even when the journalists, and IGN was doing some major pipe smoking, even when the journalists are like, oh, we played this and it's amazing, we still get a preview, a written preview, and we can discern, we can read between the lines in what they saw, what they witnessed, what they liked about it, what their concerns were, and we can make a more educated decision based on it. Gamescom did that this year. It did what we have needed a gaming show to do for a very long time. Plus, without E3, I think Gamescom got a lot more big name announcements and shows than it has in the past. So we actually got much more information at this Gamescom than we have previous. I think you didn't like it because of opening night and how it was presented, which is a piece of shit. I think you tend to watch stuff like that. I think also maybe you didn't watch it as closely, and a lot of the games didn't necessarily speak to you right away, so you walked away from it early, and that's why you're not getting the full wonderful of it. But here's my thing. Even the games that I have no interest in playing, like Inzoi, was a cool announcement and a cool trailer, you know? So like that, and it got gameplay, and it got some weird character creator demo. Like even the stuff that I'm not interested in got like presentation for somebody to be able to witness.
So yeah, I'd say you're about halfway there on my disdain for it. The problem that I feel like I had overall, it was just, like you said, there wasn't a whole heck of a lot that really spoke to me. Mm-hmm. And there was, I feel like it was the stuff that I was anticipating being there, like we were talking about, Randy Pitchford basically had all but confirmed that Borderlands 4 was in development,
which was a garbage release.
The announce of Borderlands 4, let's be honest, only existed because the movie did so horrendously, terribly bad. I don't think we would have seen the trailer that we saw at all had the movie done great. I feel like it would have been held off for maybe summer show next year. But there was stuff like that. And then there was other things like there was a teaser for something Darksiders relate. A teaser video that had been put up like a week beforehand. That if you're familiar with the Darksiders games, it was like a 30-second long video of like this underground cavern and then just three statues lighting up. And it's like and I was like, oh, okay, so like we know what that teaser is. We're going to assume it's something Darksiders related. Nothing showed up. It was very I feel like relatively indie focused. I mean, there were some exceptions, obviously. Like we got our usual Black Ops, blah 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 blah, Call of Duty shenanigans. We got our obligatory, overly Japanese games announced and everything there too. I mean, there were some things that I missed out on. Like I did not actually see the actual announcement for that Secret Level series looks relatively interesting, but I don't know, the part that really really turned me off, I think, was the point that I actually shut everything off, or at least stopped even being in the same room while it was going on. Was I forget the exact name of the game. It was like World of Meat or something like that, like Meat Warrior, something with meat in the title.
Yeah, it's the man. I cannot remember the title of it, but I know what you're talking about.
But it was centered around Jeff Keighley, and it's like, dude, come on, man. We don't need this every single year, having him finding a way to worm his way into stuff. I honestly didn't really even see a whole heck of a lot really get announced otherwise, personally.
Really?
I really didn't. I
think you're being a little close-minded on this one, buddy.
I could be. I very well could be, to be completely honest.
I think the stuff that got announced that was AAA is not in your wheelhouse, maybe. I mean, Civilization 7 is huge.
I know, it's
that's
big,
absolutely
like,
huge.
Whatever,
Ava Untold is pretty big in that area. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. We saw a lot more gameplay and trailers, and we have a release date for that. There's the Towerborn stuff, which we're going to talk about. And then, there was a few things. The Peter Molyneux thing. I know that's
that's
kind of crazy.
Weird. That really was so weird, really and weird. I can't even wait to talk about that, because that was going to be one of the things that I was going to talk about in the newsy bits overall. What is it? Masters of Albion, is it called?
Yeah, Masters of Albion.
So, so a little bit of rewind here. So Peter Molyneux is the guy who is behind Fable, and Fable takes place in Albion. Now, of course, Lionhead got shut down a while ago, long while ago, and Microsoft kind of like really didn't do a whole heck of a lot with the IP until recently, whenever this sequel, remake, new whatever it's going to end up being comes out. But Peter Molyneux can get away with saying Albion, like... And everybody's very confused because they thought it was a Fable game. Like, oh, no, it's not a Fable game. It's not a Fable game because Albion is a real place, like historically. So because the fantasy Albion is based on the real Albion, he can use it. What in the whole ass shit is going on with that? Like, there has to be some sort of like eyebrows being raised somewhere.
Yeah. I think it's crazy. I mean, Albion, I think it's crazy. Also, that game looks just weird all the way around. But yeah, it's very strange. But yeah, to go back to it, I think there was some AAA stuff there. I think, personally, I've been a Gamescom fan for a while. We talked about this before. I love it when Gamescom rolls around, usually because I'm more of an indie guy especially nowadays. But like, I felt like there was a lot more AAA stuff there. I mean, you had that Dune Awakening game that looks fucking insane. There was a few big releases, big announcements from the AAA community that I don't think would have been there if E3 had been around this year. You know, I mean, just saying. That being said, opening night seemed like your general fare. But if you watch it through the whole week, you just get so much gameplay. And that's really it. Like, I got to see gameplay of all the games that I'm excited for coming up, you know? And it helps me make that informed decision, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely not like... I don't want to discount it. Like, I'm not saying it was objectively bad. Yeah. I'm just saying it didn't move a needle for me.
Well, and that's fine. But you had said you didn't like it on the thing, and that's why I was like, I want to talk to him about this, because I don't know that he is looking at it from the same way that I am.
It definitely is. It does come down to that perspective to some degree. But it is crazy because this is the first game show that I had either, like, I didn't finish watching, like, the opening night thing for, because typically I'll at least, like, load it back up and, like, skip through the stuff that I have no interest in, or at the very least look up at everything announced at Gamescom article or everything announced, wherever article. I didn't even look that up. I didn't even find out about that secret level series until a little while. I think it was like 2 days after the fact. Honestly, that secret level thing I think was the coolest thing to come out of it, with a little asterisk next to it, because I just briefly want to talk about that. Sure. I believe that this is what that rumored God of War series was that we'd talked about for a while. I don't think they're doing a whole series on it because God of War is one of the stories that's contained within it. Right. So it's going to be 15. It's an anthology series, 15 episodes, each episode basically containing like a different game. And some of them are like, there's like a D&D episode, there's going to be God of War episode, there's going to be a Sifu episode, which will be very interesting because seems very much like it would play well as a show / movie thing. But then there's weird ones like the Pac-Man one. And then they even showed like a little quick tease in the trailer of Pac-Man just being like a little robot that has a grind hole for a mouth. Like, what in the hell is going on here? But I don't know. Like, something like that, I feel a little conflicted by, because it's a knee-jerk reaction. It's like, wow, that's fantastic. We can test the waters, or at least bring some of these things to a visual medium to just watch them and take them in, but not necessarily like introduce them to new audiences. But at the same time, some of the things that they have chosen, or maybe the fact that we were doing short form was not necessarily the best way to do it. Like, as an example, like the God of War thing, I find it very hard to believe that they're going to be able to cram the entire, like, is it going to be just the first God of War, second God of War? Is it going to be like a in-between sort of thing, like between one, like the 2018 and Ragnarok sort of situation? I can't fathom that they'll be able to cram all of that, or even one game's worth of information, all into like an hour-long episode. It's gotta be a side story, right? It has to be a side story of some sort.
Or just like a chunk of one of the games animated.
Right, but then you think about at that point too, like, if you're going to start making them be side stories, then who is this show for? Like, it's cool. It's cool, but it's one of those that nowadays shows are really becoming homework shows. You have to have done all of this research ahead of time. That's why, like, I have not watched like any of the past new Star Wars stuff outside of like mainline movies, because, well, like, you have to have seen A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and know this and know this other side character.
Hey man, that's why I backed out of the MCU.
I'm still with the MCU just because I haven't stopped.
Right.
Like,
exactly. I think since we're on this one, we're talking about this one for a second. I think one of the most interesting things about this is that they, like, I would never think of all of these games being in one series. You know what I mean? Like, right. So, like, there's one company making episodes about each one of these games, and every one of these games signed off on that. All of these companies signed off on this instead of trying to make their own series. Like, that's kind of crazy to me. Mm-hmm. Just in of itself, you know? I will disagree with you. I don't think that was anywhere near the coolest thing to come out of the announcements of Gamescom. But, I mean, I think the games were. Like, there's just some great fucking games, especially if you're a 4X guy. Ava Untold looks amazing. And actually, Civilization 7, I'm going to say this. I've played quite a few Civs. I never played 6, but I played 5, 4, and Revolution. And you guys all know I'm kind of a closet 4X dude. I didn't have any interest in 6 because I'm sick of that formula of the, like, selecting, like, a silly leader and then you have to use their culture to get through it. I want something more interesting and dynamic than that. And they really delivered on that from that trailer. I think that game's going to be fucking phenomenal. I don't know if I'll pick it up right away, especially since Ava is doing some of the same stuff, and that's going to be right into Game Pass. But it's really interesting to me what they're doing with that. I know you're not a 4X guy, so I don't have to spend a lot of time on those two games. But, I mean, Ava had a 53-minute gameplay trailer. 53 minutes of straight gameplay. Civilization had 32 minutes of straight gameplay. And they let all of the 4X guys from YouTube also put their own videos up of what their thoughts were playing it. And that was really cool to me. I do want to talk about a couple more things at Gamescom that really stood out that actually pissed me off, since you're ready to be angry. Borderlands 4. Okay, this is the trailer from the old guard days that would make me so mad. This is bullshit. There's nothing there. I don't agree or disagree on the whole movie thing. I don't think it was necessarily tied to the movie. I think they were always going to release this bullshit trailer. But they released a bullshit... It's a bullshit trailer. It didn't give a date. It said next year. Anytime next year. In the 365 days that exist next year.
And it won't make that. Guarantee it won't make it.
No fucking way will it make that. But then the trailer itself is literally 30 seconds long, everybody. You see some stuff falling from the sky, and then you see like an alien hand pick up a mask, and it's the Borderlands mask. And then it just says Borderlands 4. And then, and this is another thing, people out there, you have got to stop getting excited for this shit. You have got to use your brain and stop listening to your impulse. Like, get some impulse control, because the fucking crowd went nuts for this. And I'm just sitting there like, what are you cheering for? Because I could make a 30-second video in Blender. Like, do you want me to make that video? Because that's all they did. Like, you don't know what this is. Like, so what are we doing there? You know, it was infuriating, that entire thing. That was definitely rage-inducing. One of my rage-inducing moments, like my big rage-inducing moment, was this. Not just even the fact that it was a 30-second nothing trailer again that gave us no new information whatsoever. Other than the 2025, but Randy Pitchford had already alluded to that anyway. But the reaction in the room for that was crazy. Like, the building was shaking. What are we fucking doing, you know?
Yeah, I definitely, like, don't get me wrong, I'm more excited for a Borderlands game than I have been in the past, just because... Like, I picked up 2 years ago, and it was fine for me. But, you know, I wanted to, once I played 3 and then Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, I'm more in the line of, like, yeah, I would like another one of those games like that. But, again, it's funny, that was one of the things that I saw because it was going on during the day, and I wanted to watch the show with Kayla. Well, I ended up seeing a spoiler online, and that was the fact that got announced. Like, oh, goddamn, motherfucking son of a bitch, whatever. Oh, something got ruined for me. And then when we actually watched the show and I actually saw the trailer, I immediately felt like a fool because I'm like nothing. Like, they didn't even. There wasn't even dialogue. There was anything. Yeah. It was exactly like you said. Shit falling from the sky. Robot hand picks up mask. Borderlands 4. Okay, cool, great.
Yeah. It was absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, the excitement level that was around that. Especially when there was such good stuff. The Monster Hunter Wilds trailer was amazing. The Crimson, that game from the Crimson Desert, that game looks fucking phenomenal as well. Like, there's so many good, interesting games there. For that to get such roarous applause for a 30-second reveal is just like, I am transported to the days of old when I would rage about these trailers, Since we're talking about rage, are we ready to talk about the thing that has me most mad?
Is it the thing that you sent me?
Yeah, it is.
So, yes, let's talk about this.
Well, one of the things I sent you. The other thing was a newsy bit, but...
Well, go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to say this right now. I cordially invite Randy Pitchford to come on our show and be interviewed by me. Because, Randy, I'm going to tell you right now, I will actually interview you. I will actually ask you hard questions. And if you convince me by the end of it that you're a relatively decent human being, I will be surprised. But I cordially invite you here because I want to understand what you're doing. I think that, and I want to understand... Well, I understand it because it's just money. But, you have routinely lied to us now for the last, 2 years. And egregiously. And what's crazy is I am very rarely right on this show. I'm very rarely right. I say a lot of shit on here. A lot of shit. And I would say maybe 30% of it turns out to be actual fact. That's what we do. We do a silly podcast about video games. That being said, I said, and Neil was with me, we both said it, that the minute this Activision, merger went through, the entire, mood is going to change from Xbox. Since the Activision merger has gone through and they have put this kind of stranglehold on the AAA gaming development, they have announced a price raise for their Game Pass. They have announced new, more complicated tiering for their Game Pass. Their systems their entire server networks have gone down not once, but twice. And as a regular user of this, and just the other day, I could not get the audio to work on Xbox. Their system sucks right now. The quality has immediately deteriorated. One thing that they also they have also laid off thousands of workers with seemingly no reason for it. You talk about the studio that closed up being Hi-Fi Rush, the only critically acclaimed successful game they had last year. From their exclusives department. Well, one thing they have always said is that our exclusives will be day one on Game Pass. Now, with the tier adjustment, they did say that you won't get them day one unless you're on the Ultimate or PC. But they said the exclusives are still coming. That is now a lie, thanks to Towerbone. Now, I'm going to say this right now. I'm about to rage about this. I'm not that upset personally, because I got a lot of games coming out in September that I want to play. So I don't mind that I'm not going to get to play this one for another 4 months. That being said, Towerborn is no longer launching day one on Xbox Game Pass. Instead, it is launching on Steam in what they're calling early access. This early access costs you $25. It is not free. You have to pay $25 even if you are a Game Pass holder. Now, they've also promised crossplay, which is a little more rage-inducing for me because I have Game Pass. So you're telling me that I have to spend $25 to play it over here, even though it's going to go into Game Pass, and even though I have Game Pass, there's no way you can recognize that I have Game Pass and not make me spend $25 over here. But yeah, it is going $25 into early access on Steam only. They're lying. They're not even giving you the Xbox Microsoft Studios first-party originals anymore. And they don't have to, because they own so much of it. So what's the deal, Randy? Because you just keep fucking lying to us. Like, not Randy, Phil.
I was going to say, I'm like...
There's too many douchebags. There's too many douchebags.
Too many douchebags.
I don't want Randy Pitchford on my show. I am not inviting you, Randy Pitchford. I do not want to watch you try and do magic tricks for 2.5 hours. I've got better things to do with my life. Phil, you can come on here because somebody needs to start asking you hard questions. I am certainly sick to death of watching fucking IGN and whatever ask him softball fucking questions and let him get off the fucking hook with a, well, it was a hard choice, or, well, it's best for Xbox players. Bullshit, crap ass, nothing. So I'm sure you will never come on this show because we only have 490 subscribers, and really, nobody matters to you. Money matters to you. And that's what it is. But you're still invited. You're still invited. And stand up to some real fucking questioning for a change. Because you have just routinely lied to us for 2 straight fucking years. This Towerborn thing is, like, it should be way bigger news. Way bigger news. This is an egregious breach of everything he has promised to his people, you know? Like, you've already told them that if they buy a console, they mean less to you. Like, now you tell them that, like, we don't even have to keep our promises to you anymore. We could just launch it on Steam and make you pay us, you know? It's just so rage-inducing. Like, my blood pressure rises when I saw this. I was fucking irate that if I want to play Towerborn Day 1, I have to spend $25, even though it is a Microsoft first-party exclusive. I have to pay $25 on Steam in order to play it.
So I'm going to make a bold prediction for
Careful
the future.
Here. Don't invoke my rage.
A bold prediction for the future. I think the early access moniker now is going to be the new version of like pre-order bonus kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's gone from, in the early days, we make a game, when we ship the game, it's the game that it is. You know, however it turns out is how it turns out. If it's broken, it's broken. That's it. We might fix it in prints later on whenever we have to sell more units, but it is what it is. Then we got into the ability to patch games. Well, it was still okay. Fine, we're going to put our best foot forward. Inevitably, there's going to be something, but we'll, fix it later. Then games were made in such a way to where, well, this is our end point. You will get the full features later via updates. Then early access started rolling around, and now it's a feature, not a bug. What I think is going to end up happening in the future is they're already dipping their toes in this with pre-order bonuses, getting you like 3 days to a week early access to a game. This is going to be the new thing. It's going to go for a lower price on some other platform, such as PC in this case. You're going to pay whatever, and this is going to be you getting in, being able to play the game in an early build state. And then from there, when they're ready to launch the actual thing, they're going to have you slide on over and play it there in that locale, there at that location, something like that.
When it gets them past everything, all their promises that they've made, it gets them past, because they can say, we didn't actually release the game.
But yeah, because it's early access.
It's not
That's
a real
exactly
game.
What it is.
And so it gets past all of everything they ever promised. And I completely 100% agree. It's ridiculous. What bothers me so much is this is another twisting of a useful tool for indie developers. Like, indie developers use early access to help build the game to the specifications of what the players want. Shadows of Doubt is a game I purchased recently. It's a procedurally generated detective game made by like 7 people. They have had it in early access for like 8 years. It is about to launch on September 1st, and it's going to consoles when it does. That's how you're supposed to use early access. It's supposed to be like, we need money to keep making it because we're an indie development. We also want to know what people would want the most out of it, and that way they help us find bugs, so we make it cheaper now, and then we raise the price by like $5 when it launches, but it allows us to make the game, right? You look at Grounded, same thing. I mean, obviously they're under a much bigger company, but they're a very small team inside of Obsidian. They launch into early access, and they slowly build it up, you know, to the launch that happened last year. This is not what early access was meant for. This is not, like, this is a money-making scheme. Even if Towerborn is not ready for players to play it, fine, put the early access on Game Pass. Like, here's the problem that I have here, is there is absolutely no reason for it to not be on Game Pass in early access. There's none, other than we want to get more money out of you. Because they've all the alphas, the technical alphas and the technical betas that they've done already, I know because I'm in the Insider Extras, the Xbox Insiders program. They've already been on Xbox. Okay, they weren't on Steam. They were on Xbox. This game already runs on the Xbox infrastructure. That means that they are specifically doing it on Steam to make money off of it. There is no reason to do it. The debug process, like, don't get me wrong, maybe this game needs early access. I'm not saying it doesn't, but there's no reason that early access cannot be on Game Pass day one where it should be. And it's not, because they're trying to nickel and dime you again, because anybody who's super excited for that game doesn't want to be the last one to play it. I'm old enough to be patient, so I will wait. I've got Mirthwood coming out on the 11th. I've got Ava Untold coming out later September. I can wait. But, like, it's absolutely fucking ridiculous what they're doing here, you know? And it is exactly what you said. This is a way that they can be like, they're on the subscription, but we can get more money out of them by charging them early access fees over here, you know?
Yeah. And to your point, too, I mean, what better way to do a test of some sort for a various, different, performance, servers, everything like that, than to have a built-in group of people who don't necessarily have a dog in the fight, who can just pick up the game at no additional cost, play it, and see what happens. It's a way for them to, because if you think about it too, we still don't know what the monetization model looks like for Game Pass, and I almost wonder if that's going to be the new way of like the Game Pass deal. In whenever they sign something with Microsoft, is they get this exclusivity window that they can sell it at a profit, on another platform for a certain period of time, and then from there they take like a reduced rate in whatever it is that they were going to be offered, but still get a payout whenever it goes on Game Pass.
I don't think the guys at Stoic had anything to do with this, personally. Like, I don't think this was a Stoic decision. I think this was a Microsoft decision, and this is a way, because I think the guys at Stoic would just put it out on Game Pass. Like, they already have the deal in place, Like, if this is early access and they're using it to try and test. I mean, Stoic is a well-regarded and well-known indie studio. They made the Banner Sagas, all the Banner Sagas before this. They're not, I don't remember any, like, articles about them being pieces of shit. I'm not saying they aren't. I'm not saying they weren't part of this. I'm just saying I don't think they were. I think this is Microsoft. I think Microsoft is like, yeah, but if we sell it on Steam first, we get money. And we don't, right. And, like, it's absolute bullshit, because they're raising the prices on Microsoft specifically so that you can have day one access. And they're already skirting around that day one access over here on Steam. And I think we're going to see this with a lot of games going forward. And like I said, right now it is still a value on PC to have Game Pass. If it raises its price anymore, I will happily get rid of my Games Pass so that I no longer have to, like, feel slightly guilty for giving these motherfuckers money, you know? Because they are just... the stuff they've done in the last 2 years and the stuff that's come out about them, it's just been terrible. Phil Spencer, come on. Come on, tell me I'm wrong. I challenge you. Come on, tell me I'm wrong. I'll ask you the hard questions. If you can actually answer them with something better than, oh, it was a hard choice, or some bullshit-ass PR, pre-writ crap like that, change my mind. Because right now, I see you and your entire company taking advantage of every gamer out there who has, and I'm not even talking about just gamers as a whole, I'm talking about the gamers who have been dedicated to your platform, your hardware, and your services for more years than they needed to be, because, let's face it, your quality was shit for a real long time. Still is. So, like, somebody explain to me, you know, why you want to treat them that way. And I would love it if you came on here and said, well, we need money. That's fine. Be honest with me. You don't be honest with anybody. This is garbage, and people should be way madder about it. Again, the logical part of me, I'm like, hey, man, I got Mirthwood on the 11th. I got Ava on board late October. I'm still playing Shadows of Doubt. I'm still playing Ages of Wonder 4. I don't necessarily need another game to play. As excited for Towerborn as I am, and how much I want to play it, I don't need to rush to it, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, okay, fine, I'll wait. But as the somewhat passable games journalist that we claim to sometimes be, this is infuriating. It's infuriating. Mm-hmm. Other than that, though, I liked Game Pass. There was a lot of stuff here that I really liked, and I loved all the gameplay. This is the kind of stuff we need from shows going forward. Gameplay footage. It was a meaty little fucking, like, dinner of gameplay. And I think even you can agree, even if you weren't into the games, there's tons of gameplay from Gamescom, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, objectively, that is what it's all about. Right. Objectively, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Getting some games out there, getting some, you know, information, some heat on the pot, so to speak, to get everybody ready for what's coming. Yeah, I'm very excited for some of these games. It definitely did its job, in my opinion. But yeah, there was definitely some reasons to rage on the other things. I think we've covered it, though. Is there anything else we want to talk about on Gamescom? No, sir.
All right, let's head on over to the news. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our final segment, the news. Neil likes to collect news stories that don't necessarily deserve a talking point, that we want to riff out, we want to let you guys know about. So Neil has 3. However, I actually have 1 this time, and I want to start with it. I want anybody who has time, because this article is really long, but IGN actually broke this article, and I actually want to give them props for a change. Hey, man, I'm fair. They did some really good journalism here. So there has been this accessibility person in gaming who's been around, like a voice in accessibility. Her name is Susan Banks. She's existed since, I think she came on the scene in like 2012, 2013, something like that. And then she died tragically, like I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. Turns out she never existed. She's one of the biggest voices in accessibility, started all these charities and fundraisers and stuff. Turns out it was all a scam by this other person who was low-key fake in a relationship with her, even though she didn't exist. Like, he had invented her in order to kind of like take advantage of fundraisers and charities. So, yeah, if you get a chance, go check out IGN. The story is huge. I can't possibly get into it all here because, like, no joke, this guy has created like 3 people. and they haven't like 100% confirmed it, but there's all these like checks and balances. Like Susan Banks supposedly went to this certain school and was a professor. There's no record of her going to the school. There's no record of her working there. Like stuff like that. Like tons of receipts that they have in this article. But it's kind of crazy that there's like that. One of the biggest voices in gaming accessibility may have never existed and been part of a weird scam. So yeah, it was a really interesting story. I actually read it to my wife, and it took me like a half an hour, and it was just a crazy story.
Yeah, that kind of sounds wild. Especially like, what's the end game? Like,
well, from like, there was something about like the charities that the guy set up, like, didn't really go to any sort of charity. It just went to him, sort of thing. So he would set up these like GoFundMes for himself, for these people, and then the GoFundMe would just go to him. So he would make a lot of money. But like, he made up her sister, and then he made up their best friend, and they are all fake people. And he is proposed to be in relationships with all of them, and like it is fucking crazy story, like top down crazy ass story. But yeah, this guy has just made them all up.
The hell.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna slide along here to the ones that I got. So we talked a little bit about this. Concord, the now newly released hero shooter over at the PlayStation.
Got gameplay of that too.
Yeah, it's had a lot of press floating around about it, and it launched and had under 700 players on Steam on launch day. So people are already talking about it being the next dead live service game right out of the gate. I do think it is just a smidge unfair to just go by launch numbers, purely by launch numbers.
Definitely.
Especially because not everybody looks for those early access situations, kind of like we were talking about a little bit earlier with early access. Early access demos, everything like that. People want to hang back and find out what the deal is with the game first. That also said, the hero shooter genre has become quite oversaturated. Outside of the kick-ass controller that they had put up for PlayStation, I really haven't seen a whole heck of a lot going for it, other than it being another hero shooter.
I think this is another casualty. And look, I don't know anything about Concord, really. I've seen a couple of ads for it.
Same.
I don't know what the game plays like, and IGN says it's decent, but there's not enough content or whatever. But you know, how much can you trust IGN? I think, though, whether it is good or bad doesn't matter. It is a casualty of the market right now, especially AAA gaming being oversaturated with games as service schemes like Kill the Justice League, those kind of things, and people don't want to deal with that shit anymore. You know, I think it's one of the reasons I think Marvel Rivals has a big walk uphill to be good. That was another thing we didn't talk from Gamescom. That actually got a free to play announcement when everybody thought that was actually going to be a premium cost. And more power to them, because that's a free-to-play game and should be a free-to-play game. That being said, it's another hero shooter. We got another hero shooter coming out. We've already got Valorant. We've got Overwatch. Like, we have tons of these things. And what's the arena? The arenas, the championships, whatever. There's tons of them right now. And again, games as service players, they have that addictable personality. I know because I'm one of them. You're not going to pull that person away from the game that they've been playing forever without something spectacular. You know, you are trying to buy into a market that just doesn't exist anymore. It has all the games that it can have, and I think that Concord may be the best hero shooter that's ever made. It is in a market where nobody wants it anymore. You know,
right?
And that's just one of the big problems.
And that's what we've talked about before. Being the first of any sort of genre is not necessarily the greatest because you turn into a stepping stone. But, you also have to be there relatively early right from the jump, because if not, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say the hero shooter genre is at the end of its life, but I mean, it sure as hell is feeling that way.
I don't think it's at the end of its life. I think every genre has a place with the crowd. I think the problem is games as service games as a whole require people to put hours and hours and hours and hours and hours in weekly. Like the people, it's not like Nathan Drake, where you could play the game and then you're done with the game and you move on to another game. This is a game that you have to keep coming back to if you want to stay relevant in it. With that being said, you only really want one of those. I think, so instead of you trying to capture a market that becomes open after they finish the last best thing, you're trying to buy into a market that already has all of the players hooked, I don't think hero shooters are going anywhere, personally. I think hero shooters as a genre will be around forever. You're going to have the top boys. I don't think Valorant's going anywhere. Unfortunately, I don't think Overwatch 2 is going anywhere unless they really screw the pooch. You're going to have these guys for the foreseeable future. That being said, you can only take so many players from those guys, And, that's the problem, There's only so much bathwater in the bath,
Absolutely. So, the next one I wanted to touch base with, it's actually kind of Gamescom adjacent. Yep. So, during Gamescom, there is also something going on called DevCom. And it's basically the side show where all the devs get together and kind of have a little powwow amongst themselves, effectively. But somebody had done a poll of people at Gamescom that yielded some very interesting results. So when asked various questions overall about things, so 90% of respondents surveyed said that premium games do not need microtransactions to be successful. When asked about it, only 10% said that, oh, yeah, absolutely. This is according to devs, not industry leaders and shareholders, the people physically making the games here. And 65% believe purely in the premium model, so that there's no place for any sort of microtransactions, that you should make a game, you buy a game, the game is the game. 31% of those individuals have little to no interest in AI for development for games. And only 21% had active invested interest in using AI in game development.
That surprises me.
Yes.
That one actually surprises me.
When looking at overall challenges within the market space, 55% of people, when asked about what their feelings were of saturation within the market of games and genres, literally what we were just talking about, 55% said that saturation is an issue. When looking at development overall for games, 46% cost is an issue when it comes to labor and actual dev time. And then external factors, 43% of people said that over the next 12 months they expect layoffs to continue en masse within the industry. Yeah. So... boy howdy, lots of doom and gloom there at that DevCom.
I do want to say this. I think that, this just backs up what we've been kind of saying, which is I don't think there's a dev, an actual developer out there who wants to put a bunch of shitty microtransactions in their game. That stuff doesn't come from them. That stuff comes from Phil Spencer and the guy who runs EA and, those guys. That's where that shit comes from because they want to make more money. As far as the premium thing goes, I like that number. I do think there's a place for, free-to-play games, you know. I think that it's a fine line though, to do it right, you know, and I don't think a lot of people do. Yeah, I don't think there's any developers out there who are happy with the current way the market is. And I mean, if you wanted to make a hero shooter, you couldn't right now. Like, it would be the dumbest thing you could do, you know. Same with even the looter shooter. I don't think there's any place for a game as service looter shooter like Destiny right now. I think there's like 1,000 of those fucking games, there's just no interest to me, and I don't think you're gonna take players away from other people playing those games either. You know.
Yeah, especially in those games that are live games that we've talked about before, like you had mentioned earlier. A live service game, in its inherent being, has to have a lot of time invested into it, and like a sense of loyalty about it. Yeah. So people only have so much time in a day, and your game has to either be able to be played alongside without interfering with that current game and not requiring the time sink, or require them to abandon the game that they currently play to play yours instead. And that's a tall order for these live service games now, that something like Destiny, that people have spent literal years and years in and on at this point.
Well, what's crazy too is they don't make these for kids anymore. You know what I mean? So you're expecting...
That's true, too.
You're expecting adults to devote this kind of time. Like, adults who have to go to work and have families and have shit to do. Like, where are they going to get the time to spend that time? Fuck, man.
You know how much video games I played last week?
How much?
Over the course of the entire week, I got 20 minutes. I got 20 entire minutes.
Did I get that much? Last week was rough for me, actually. I don't think I played that much either. I think that, like I definitely get more than 20 minutes, but still, like, it's impossible to keep up. Like, I don't think that, like... Yeah, I just don't think it's realistic. You're making the games for a more increasingly adult population and fan base, and you want them to spend their entire day on it. Where are they going to even make the money to give to you? You know, like, it's just ludicrous how these companies think.
Speaking of ludicrous and stupidity, we are going to finish out with Microsoft. Microsoft continues all of the dumb. As we have consistently talked about the fact that nobody is buying Xbox consoles, and they're actively telling us now that we do not need Xbox consoles, that we can play our games other places.
This is so stupid.
The three new Xbox consoles, our hardware revisions, are coming out in October at relatively increased pricing overall when you consider everything. So the Xbox Series S is going to now come in a 1 terabyte model for $350. The previous generation, the 512 for $300, I believe, is not going to be available anymore. From there, the digital-only 1 terabyte Series X, which is the same exact version as the current Series X, but it does not have a disk drive, is $450, only $50 cheaper than the actual Series X console. And then, inexplicably, the only way you'd be able to get a Series X console with a disk drive will be the 2 terabyte Series X console with the disk drive that goes for $600, because this generation we want price increases instead of cuts.
Which is insane to me, because, like, it would be one thing if PlayStation was doing this, right? Because they're all about their hardware. But Xbox has literally been on fucking X/Twitter, like, for the last, 6 months, telling you don't need to buy a console. You just need a Fire Stick and a controller. What are you fucking doing? Their entire messaging system has been, you don't need to buy a console. Hell, their pricing, as we talked about when they did their price increases, favors PC heavily. They don't want you to buy their console, but yet they're going to release 3 new fucking overpriced piece of shit consoles for you to purchase. I just spit so much because so much of that was peas. I'm going to have to, like, clean my screen. But it's asinine. And you heard about the whole Indiana Jones thing, right?
And the Indiana Jones thing, too, yes. Phil Spencer basically, all but straight up confirmed a while ago that the Indiana Jones
at Gamescom.
No, I think he had said previously that Indiana Jones was going to be Xbox exclusive.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you were about to say.
Yeah, but then at Gamescom, he was like, yep, and it's coming out on PlayStation consoles as well. Yeah. And everybody's like, hey, man, what's going on? And they're like, well, our position has changed on things. Money, please. Like...
Yeah, I think he actually denied. If I recall correctly, he was like, well, I never clearly said that it was going to be Xbox only. I said it was going to be an Xbox exclusive, not that it was only going to be on the Xbox. What the fuck does that mean, Spencer? Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? So, congratulations, Game Pass owners. You're paying $3 more for games you don't even get to play first. Like, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, just briefly back to the console thing. What is really reminding me, I don't know about you, but back in the day, long ago, Long John Silver's used to be like an actual like restaurant that people would go to, fast food restaurant people would go to. Now I can't even remember the last time I've seen one with people in the parking lot. At this point, Long John Silver's has to be a front for something. That's the only thing that I can explain it for them being open. But it's like if Long John Silver's would say just completely out of the blue one day, you know what? Everything that we have on the menu, just double the price. Just like, just because we're not making money. Let's just charge more for it. Well, won't that drive the customers away? No, you're using your brain. Stop doing that. We don't do that here.
It would also add to that somebody standing outside of Long John Silver's every day saying you don't need to eat here.
Our food is actually bad. Go somewhere else.
It's so dumb. Like, they're insane people right now, and I don't understand how they're not getting more flack than they are. Really, I don't.
Yeah, between all of this and the goodwill that they're burning with Game Pass and their misfires on all their exclusives,
it's insane.
Like, usually the generations are like a tete-a-tete, but not this time around.
No.
We were thinking that Xbox was going to handily defeat Sony, and Sony even still, like, which is wild because they straight up said at the beginning of the year, like, we're not really going to be anywhere because we really don't have anything coming out this year. So we have literally nothing to show you, so just don't expect us to be anywhere and announce anything important. And that strategy has somehow magically worked.
Well, I'll say this. One thing we've been saying a lot is the value of shutting up. And, like, PlayStation, like, every time they were in the news, like, early this year, late last year, it was because they were doing something stupid. Like, and they would do something stupid and we would point it out. They haven't done anything for the last, like, few months, whereas Xbox is just over here digging holes. And, like, I think there's a value to that, just shutting the fuck up. Like, I still think Sony is very much in trouble, not because Xbox is doing a good job, but because they don't need to do a good job anymore. They own Call of Duty and Activision and all that shit. They don't need to do a good job anymore. I think that, like, this is what we were talking about back when we were talking about Activision getting acquired. This is the kind of stuff that has started happening. And honestly, it's happening a lot faster than I thought it was going to happen, but it's happening. The quality of Xbox products have gone down. The messaging has gone to shit. They have stopped giving a shit whether you are happy with your exclusives. They've fired companies that actually make them money. They have raised the price of fucking everything inexplicably. Like, this is the kind of stuff that happens when you control, like, a full 40% of the market, because they don't care anymore, because they know that somewhere along the line they're making money off you, because all gaming comes back to Xbox somehow right now. And it just sucks. This is only gonna get worse. Only gonna get worse.
Hate to say we told you so. But.
Yeah. This is not something I like being right about, but man, did they prove us right. They proved us right so fast, and we are not people who are right. We want to be right, but let's face it, we're not right most of the time. I think our prediction shows can state that we are not right most of the time, but man, we were right about this, and they proved it in record time, which is annoying, really annoying.
Yes.
So are we done?
We are done.
All right. We're going to take a quick break, then come back. I don't know what a bake is. Well,
Quaker take bake.
I'm just going to step over here and make some cookies, and then we'll be right back with the plugs.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, it brings us to the end of the show, and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Neil, would you like to plug anything?
I do believe we are coming up on the end of the bit of Ordo, if I am correct.
Yes. The last episode is this week.
Yes. And if I'm remembering correctly, didn't we have a mess up with the recording in the middle of that too?
Yes, we did, and it was all my fault. And thanks for bringing that up again.
I was just thinking about it. Yeah.
We didn't lose much.
Yeah.
We didn't lose much.
We just kind of had to do a recap thing.
I had to do a recap halfway through the episode, because basically I decided to go out and get fancy mouse and keyboard, and they suck. And you have to click the button to turn it on, but it was hovering over the stop recording. So I somehow, when I turned on the thing, it double clicked and stopped the recording for I want to say 15 minutes, but we didn't lose much. It was a conversation that wasn't even that entertaining. So
no,
we still have Corey's incredible flub with the whole shovel/dynamite thing. We have all of the last action. Overall, good show. But check that out this Thursday. And we have plans to meet to start planning out the next season, which is going to be exciting stuff. So keep your eye out, because we will be doing a second hunt after all. And if Ordo sounds interesting to you, you can go purchase it on itch.io. I would love it if you did that, because I like to make money every so often.
Occasionally.
If you want to give me money in a different way, you can also buy my shirts. You can go to wizardsrespite.com, go to the shop tab, click the Old Man Gaming tab, and you can find the 3 different shirt designs that I have put up so far for Old Man Gaming. More to come. As far as everything else, you can check out everything we have to offer here. We do video games, we do role-playing games, we do everything in between. Please check those out. I'm positive there is something on this channel that you will enjoy, so check it out. You guys can reach us on Facebook at OldManGamingGH, on Twitter or X at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord, links in the description below. Influence us in all of our shows from there, and as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we will keep making them. See you guys next week. A pause.
Have you ever rage bought anything on Amazon before?
Rage bought anything? Mm-hmm. Define rage buying.
So here's my definition via a story. My home has been out of black pepper for about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Black pepper is one of those things that you don't really realize that you miss until it's not there. Mm-hmm. So I've been in weird situations, like I'm going to cook something. Oh, wait, I don't have pepper. Motherfucker. I guess I'm going to go without. And all the food tastes weird because of it. We have been to the store multiple times, and each time have forgotten the black pepper. So I'm sitting here about an hour and a half ago, just watching TV, and I was thinking about what it was that I was going to make for dinner throughout the week, and I have a nice brisket in the freezer that I'm going to smoke up and do at some point. So I'm like, maybe I'll do that brisket. And think about, what my schedule is going to look like and what day I can do it, because brisket is a process when you cook it, like 12 to 16 hours, depending on the size and everything. So it's like, well, I know I need my basic seasoning is just salt and pepper. And I'm like, God fucking damn it, I still don't have any goddamn black pepper in this house. So I went on Amazon and bought for $3 a 3-ounce package of McCormick black pepper. Amazon delivery driver will come to my house and deliver a package, and this package shall contain just a shaker of black pepper. Somebody will have spent time and effort to package up a small thing of black pepper, and will get in a vehicle and stop at my home to place a small 3-ounce package of black pepper on my front porch.
That's hysterical by itself, but also being a 43-year-old man who was alive and trying to exist in the world before cell phones. 2024 is a weird place where that's even possible. It's like I can anger buy pepper on Amazon and have it shipped to my front door. It's so weird. I understand about the shopping though. I do all the shopping for my house. So obviously, since I'm kind of the in the homemaker position, and I'm going to tell you right now, there are many parts, many aspects of the tending home that I have I would say even mastered, that I've gotten good at, even mastered. Every fucking week, I plan out 7 meals. I make a list. I go to the store, and at least one, probably 2, will have some component for the meal that is absolutely intricate to that meal that I have forgotten it. And I don't know why my wife's still married to me at this point, honestly, because it has happened consistently since I've been in charge of things. Like, everything else I got good, but for some reason, like, there'll be at least one day where I'm like, yeah. So, you know how I was gonna cook that delicious thing you liked? Yes. I forgot the main thing, and it's never either like something you could do without, like buns without hot dogs. You can make it work with bread, no problem. It's like the hot dogs. Like, I've gotten the cheese for the hot dogs, the relish for the hot dogs, the buns for the hot dogs, the side dish for the hot dogs. The hot dogs themselves, still at the fucking store, can't do anything about it, So, yeah, I understand. I feel your pain on that one.
Well, I mean, as a child who used to put just ketchup on a hot dog bun and toast that instead of toasting a hot dog to put on the bun and then add ketchup, I see no problem.
I am just going to go ahead and say I'm going to purposely forget the last sentence that you just told me, because I would have to believe you're a sociopath if I add that to the lexicon compendium of what I know of you as a person. I'd be like, oh, sociopath.
Tips the scales.
It would be. Like, if you ever played the Sherlock Holmes game where it's like the little knowledge bubbles about the case going to one thing that's the big, like, whodunit thing, it would literally, that one would be like, oh, lead to a bigger one, Neil is a sociopath. So I'm just going to, like, move ahead and just forget that you ever said that crazy ass shit to me. It's worse, too, because I hate ketchup. I think it's the worst condiment that has ever existed.
What?
Yeah.
No, sweet relish is the worst condiment that has ever existed.
Oh, fuck you. Sweet relish isn't that bad.
It's got to be dill. It's got to be dill relish. I have to have dill relish.
Ketchup, if you put ketchup on a food, the only thing you taste is fucking ketchup. It is
then you're putting too
strong.
much on. That's the problem.
Bullshit.
Now, my problem is that I like too much, but that's my problem and not the general problem of ketchup.
You go fuck yourself. That's what I'm saying to you. I say to my wife every time she puts ketchup all over the shit that I spent time and effort making. I
will tell you, though, the one thing that I can agree on, though, with ketchup does not belong on macaroni and cheese. Anybody who puts ketchup on their macaroni and cheese, that's just like, no.
I mean, I'm against ketchup on anything, but I always get especially freaked out when they put it on eggs too. Like eggs.
Eggs, man.
What are you doing,
eggs.
man? What are you doing?
I can't do it. I can't do it with eggs, especially if you get sunny side up or over easy eggs.
What are you
doing? Then you have like two fluids fusing together, and it's like a tomatoey, proteiny taste.
So gross. It's so fucking gross.